just a quick summary of all the things that I've loved about this game so far and my experience with it. I love the fact that it is a journey. I love the fact that it's a marathon, and I love the fact that you can play it your way. Overall, the approach that you can take with this, there's so many different ways that you can approach each different delivery and each different scenario. It really does allow you, and that's something that I think is awesome with not only this game, but also the fact that it's linked in by the Decima engine. Horizon Zero Dawn has a similar approach as well. Yes, there is a definite end goal that you need to get to and such, but the way that it allows you to use different tools to actually access all of that is really, really fun and creative, and it gives it a very, very unique overall approach. The graphics are completely outstanding. The level of fidelity, considering that this game's slightly older as well, is absolutely out of this world. There's not a bad performance from anybody at all, like genuinely, just so well done. The only time where I think dialogue slightly dips a bit is, as I said, when you're doing the deliveries. It's a little bit sort of like just directly talking at you. I didn't like completely the way that Die Hardman just sort of barks orders at you, and also him and Mama just tell you how to play the game for maybe a good 10 hours at the start. But that's not the end of the world. Like, they're literally like, this is this, and this does this, and da-da-da-da-da, and then they're like, oh, go to the training field and figure it out, or blah, like all of this kind of stuff. I wish there was a little bit more room for less hand-holding at the start, but I understand for some people that was probably really helpful. I like kind of just going out in the field and figuring things out for as they were, or as they are, because that ultimately gives you some of the best results. The storyline, as I said, isn't convoluted. It can be exposition heavy at certain points in time, which puts the pacing off just a little bit, but overall not so bad. The only problems I have with this game is it's a little bit clunky at times in the actual changing of things, picking things up, getting into vehicles. There's a little bit too much of using the same button for too many commands and things like that, but it's nothing that's game breaking or is really going to put me off the game. It just, when you need it in some of those boss fights and things, can make the game a little bit more frustrating. The only other thing I feel about it is it was a tiny bit too formulaic in the way that it's done. It's a little bit like, go here, reconnect 3 or 4 places, tops, then do a boss fight, and that's pretty much how it goes for near enough all of the chapters up until towards, like, you know, chapter 10 or something. So I wish there was a little bit more variety. I wouldn't have minded if there was like a few more boss fights just randomly in the middle, like to keep you on your toes a bit more, but there were opportunities and there were moments where it felt a little bit like that as well, but it was very clear, like, episodic repetition, and I think that could have slightly been changed as well. But these are 2 points that I don't think really ruin the experience in any sort of way, but I just think you could have slightly tweaked those. Not so much the story element or the way that it's repetitive with the way that it was formulaic, but definitely in a director's cut, I think you could have trimmed the fat on the clunkiness in controls just a little bit, made it a little bit more smoother. Maybe it is a bit more smoother than the original game. I don't know, because I can't compare this. This was my first time playthrough. I still stand by the fact that I've called this an 11 out of 10 game. It's a unique game that stands completely in its own realm compared to every other game I've ever played, and that is a very rare experience in the modern day world of making video games, in the modern day world of making media overall. Everything's so cliche, everything borrows from something else, and yes, this does borrow from certain things, and yes, this does actually have like some mechanics and such that you've seen in other games, but overall what it does and the way that it approaches how you take on missions and how you take on the overall game is completely unique overall, I think. I have problems with people that have problems with this game. Just gonna throw it out there. You can't fucking get on dick riding for games like Red Dead Redemption 2 and then talk down about things like Death Stranding. You can't get on your high horse about, oh, it's just a delivery going from here to there, if you go and play any form of any other RPG as well, because legitimately, so many people are happy to go and deliver a package in any other RPG, but the second that the game itself is asking you to deliver a package, oh no, this game is not fun, or blah blah blah. But say you're playing Skyrim, or you play any other game, and you pick up a side quest where they go, can you deliver this to so-and-so in the other town as a way of getting you from A to B? Suddenly it's not a problem. But when you want to attack a game that's really beloved by a lot of people, suddenly it becomes a problem. So if you have a problem with this game for some of these like cliche and repeated, like the same rhetoric that I keep hearing about it, then fuck you, man, because you really don't understand the game and you're being deliberately biased about the game as well, you know? There's so much goes from A to B and blah, 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 blah in other games. And people really talk down about it in this, even though this puts it at the forefront in a really good way.